Speaking of mind-blowing and not being able to make things work, let's take a quick detour over to Steelers-Ravens.
Yep.
Steelers win this one 27-22, and I had a tough time with the idea that, I mean, this was a big win for Pittsburgh. It was a
Yep.
great, Aaron Rodgers played a great game. The fact that with a broken wrist, he threw a tipped ball and then jumped into the fray to try to catch his own ball, and so it wasn't intercepted, and we can get into that part of it too. But with a broken wrist at age 42, I mean, that's some cowboy stuff. He
Yep.
really, I mean, if you had any doubts about the fact that this guy wants to win, even though he's a little bit quirky, I mean, that should dispel it right there. However, we are now back to what is a catch. And this is driving me up a goddamn wall because
We're
you
getting to
go,
Isaiah Likely here, right?
yeah, we're talking about Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely caught effectively the game-winning touchdown with like 2 minutes to play. He took two steps, and
It looked
then
like 4 steps to me.
it was. I mean, I watched this thing more than the Zapruder film. Trust me, it was. It's like a catch, 1 foot down, second foot down. You have the ball in the end zone. That should be a touchdown. But now you're required to make the football move in the end zone, which
What?
is because the broadcast was saying he needed a confirmatory third foot as a football move in the end zone. And I'm like,
I didn't know confirmatory. I've never heard.
but
Like, is confirmatory? Is that a word? Can
no,
we
well, I
confirm
don't know.
that?
I made that up. I don't know. I was trying to but
I didn't know if you were taking it from them.
what, like, so the tush push, what's the confirmatory, like, what's your football move into the end zone after you just get your ass smashed across the goal line? Or, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? And the second that that someone breaks the plane with the football, it's a touchdown. And this catch was almost identical to a Steelers catch against the Packers on like I think it was like October 25th. It
Yeah.
was the Aaron Rodgers Steelers game. Okay, that one was ruled a touchdown, and so you ball this together into. Let's go back to Sunday Night Football last week with the Commanders and the Broncos. You had phantom holding and an incorrect intentional grounding in a standalone game. Let's go to Lions Cowboys. You had the OPI on Ferguson that completely changed the course of that game. Let's go to Colts Texans. You had awful, awful calls in that game and back-to-back bad calls, and then you weren't sure if a ball was going between the uprights. And we can rant, Albert, every week until we're blue in the face, but and we do kind of, but this is changing playoff seeding. It's affecting wins and losses in dramatic ways, and here's where I'm going to leave it, okay? Every week you get a tweet from the NFL going, parody, parody, parody. It's an all-time great. Every game is close. But you're doing nothing to fix the thing that can turn the game on a razor's edge. So games are closer than ever. Officials have to be better than ever. They're not.
Yeah.
They're worse. Like it's just awful.
Well, and we have a better view of them than we ever had before. And like, I do think like there's an element of, and again, like I don't need to go through my whole thing from last week, but like I do think it's time to tear the whole thing down to the studs and to start over. And like it's at the point now where it's gotten so tangled up with all the different technology and all the rules changes and all the points of emphasis that at this point, like I just feel like it does legitimately feel like it feels like they are in their own heads, you know what? And the officials are sitting there worried about like not just getting the call right, but what is New York thinking? What is the general public thinking? What is this going to look like on Monday? And it's like all of these things other than just getting the call right. And you have again, like I the moment for me was, I think it was last night during the Texans Chiefs game where replay assist jumped in and changed the call and then changed it back. Which one was that?
I don't remember that one.
There was a call where they said like replay assist has called in and whatever corrected this, and then like, oh wait a minute, replay assist called back. It's like, all right, like what is this, like a hotline? Like, you know, it's just like I like there has to be a more efficient way to do it. And I say this like I think it's important, and I've been an evangelist for the Sky Judge, but I think that's the first step to all of this. That person has to be in the stadium. It can't be from freaking New York anymore.
No.
It just doesn't work. The level of trust the public has on it is low. It feels to me like a money saving thing, like in not putting like that apparatus in every stadium. I think back to, it's funny. It's like when Matt Patricia became the offensive coordinator in New England, right? I remember with Patricia and Judge and what those guys would tell you about what they did, and obviously it didn't work, but they would tell you about what they were doing there was when Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Patriots, the offense got so tangled up because they kept adding and adding and adding and never subtracting everything that it was hard to translate what the offense was to a normal college kid who was coming out, right? Which is why they always needed veteran receivers because, well, this doesn't work for a 22-year-old who's coming out of a spread offense. It's just like he's not going to be able to grasp it. So we need to have 27-year-old receivers here, which is great when you have Brady as your quarterback. But when you don't, now all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, how do we make this work? And so they went through the effort to untangle the offense. And it was to make it more user-friendly. So the people who actually had to take what they were being taught and apply it would have an easier time doing that. I feel like with the referees, it's the same thing. It's like you've kept tangling it up and tangling it up and tangling it up and tangling it up. And now you've made it so difficult for the people that are trying to apply it that what you're getting is an absolute mess on national television. And it's because, again, like the league chases, like they don't get in front of problems. They chase problems. You know what I mean? They're not proactive about finding where there's going to be a problem and solving it. They are reactive when something happens, like just go and fix it. Right. And so, like, I think what you have here is an officiating situation where it's like, we've patched this hole, we've patched that hole, but like it's like the dike in Amsterdam, right? Like where like the holes keep popping up, and, I think this is going to take to fix this. I don't even blame the officials themselves. I think to fix this, because of all the new technology, because of all the points of emphasis, because of all of the, the new rules and the element of player safety and the competition committee having their hands on everything, I think it's time to take a hard look at the entire thing and say, okay, we have this technology. We have this set of rules that we're trying to implement. How do we make this as efficient as we possibly can? Yeah. Instead of like every time we get a new technology, treating it like a toy, you know what I mean? Oh, like for example, the virtual measurement. Has that really helped anything?
No.
You know what I mean? Now, when they first did it, I was like, oh, wow, like they're finally implementing technology that tennis had 10 years ago. But I don't really feel like that's added anything.
No. I go back and I think about, I was reading something from a Supreme Court justice the other day that made me interested. And I think that this should form the basis of the new NFL rulebook, because you're right. It's like the Patriots offense. It needs to be blown up. And we need to start from square one, because the game is different. It's just different than it was when we created it, right? Yeah. And the Supreme Court justice said, like, we don't write certain liberties into the Constitution. Like, for example, like you can raise your kid how you want to raise him, right? And we don't write that into the Constitution because it's so obvious that literally almost everybody in the country would agree with you. That needs to be the basis of the new NFL rulebook. And it needs to be, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if I have to think 9 levels of Chinese checker moves to get to where I want to get to, it's not a call. Just don't make it. Just back yourself out of the game and let them play. How good remember the first quarter of that Super Bowl, where there was a bad call right away at Chiefs-Eagles, and then there was a bad makeup call, and everyone's sitting there like, oh my God. And then we didn't see anything again, I think, for like another 2 quarters. And that's how it should be. Yes, there is holding on every play. Unless everyone in America can see it and point at it on the TV and say that shouldn't happen, that needs to be your standard. Otherwise, just let people play. Let them get
Right.
away with it. It's a physical game. And I know that took up all the air of Steelers Ravens, but it is what it is. Baltimore, yes, they had other opportunities. I thought their gotta have it play calling in this game was atrocious. Third and
Right.
short, fourth and short. That has to be better. But at the same time, like we can't come in here and be talking about officials every week. It's just embarrassing.